Welcome back to Waiting in Laodicea. Today we're continuing with our series on the seals, trumpets, and bowls. We're going to pick this up with our discussion of the first 6 trumpets. The trumpets are located, a description of the trumpets are located in Revelation chapter 8, starting in verse 6. Let's see what the Bible has to say.
Revelation chapter 8 starting in verse 6. From the New Revised Standard Version. Verse 6. Now the 7 angels who had the 7 trumpets made ready to blow them. The first angel blew his trumpet, and there came hail and fire, mixed with blood, and they were hurled to the earth, and a third of the earth was burned up, and a third of the trees were burned up, and all green grass was burned up. The second angel blew his trumpet, and something like a great mountain, burning with fire, was thrown into the sea. A third of the sea became blood, a third of the living creatures in the sea died, and a third of the ships were destroyed. The third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star fell from heaven, blazing like a torch, and it fell on a third of the rivers and on the springs of water. The name of the star is Wormwood. A third of the waters became wormwood, and many died from the water, because it was made bitter. The fourth angel blew his trumpet, and a third of the sun was struck, and a third of the moon, and a third of the stars, so that a third of their light was darkened, a third of the day was kept from shining, and likewise the night. Then I looked, and I heard an eagle crying with a loud voice as it flew in mid-heaven, Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth, at the blasts of the other trumpets that the 3 angels are about to blow. Continuing in chapter 9. And the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star that had fallen from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. He opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke like the smoke of a great furnace, and the sun and the air were darkened with the smoke from the shaft. Then from the smoke came locusts on the earth, and they were given authority like the authority of scorpions of the earth. They were told not to damage the grass of the earth or any green growth or any tree, but only those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. They were allowed to torture them for 5 months, but not to kill them, and their torture was like the torture of a scorpion when it stings someone. And in those days people will seek death but will not find it, they will long to die, but death will flee from them. Continuing at verse 7. In appearance the locusts were like horses equipped for battle. On their heads were what looked like crowns of gold, their faces were like human faces, their hair like women's hair, and their teeth like lions' teeth. They had scales like iron breastplates, and the noise of their wings was like the noise of many chariots with horses rushing into battle. They have tails like scorpions, with stingers, and in their tails is their power to harm people for 5 months. They have as king over them the angel of the bottomless pit. His name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek he is called Apollyon. Verse 12. The first woe has passed. There are still 2 woes to come. Verse 13. Then the 6th angel blew his trumpet, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar before God, saying to the 6th angel who had the trumpet, Release the 4 angels who are bound at the great river Euphrates. So the 4 angels were released, who had been held ready for the hour, the day, the month, and the year, to kill a third of humankind. The number of the troops of cavalry was 200 million, I heard their number. And this was how I saw the horses in my vision. The riders wore breastplates the color of fire and of sapphire and of sulfur, the heads of the horses were like lions' heads, and fire and smoke and sulfur came out of their mouths. By these 3 plagues a third of humankind was killed, by the fire and smoke and sulfur coming out of their mouths. For the power of the horses is in their mouths and in their tails are like serpents, having heads, and with them they inflict harm. Continuing in verse 20. The rest of humankind, who were not killed by these plagues, did not repent of the works of their hands or give up worshipping demons and idols of gold and silver and bronze and stone and wood, which cannot see or hear or walk. And they did not repent of their murders or their sorceries or their fornication or their thefts. Revelation
Okay, now that was a lot to take in. So let's go ahead and look at this a little bit more slowly if we can. Now the 7 angels made ready. We see this is in verse 6. And we continue down. The first angel blows his trumpet. The end results of this is a third of the trees were burned up and all the grass was burned up. This is devastating to humanity. If 1/3 of all the grass dies, that means 1/3 of all the animals are going to pay. There's not going to be food for them, especially things like cows and anything that basically grazes. So let's go on. The second angel blows his trumpet, and a great mountain falls into the sea, and a third of the sea becomes blood. A third of the living creatures in the sea dies, and a third of the ships are destroyed. 1/3 of all sea life is dead. Okay, the third angel blows, and a third of the waters of the earth become wormwood, and many died from the water because it is made bitter. The fourth angel blows his trumpet, and a third of the light was darkened. Now, there's an effect right there. You think about it, you're sitting there saying, well, okay, so it's a little darker. No, what it means is 1/3 less growth. Plants require growth. Crops, food, 1/3 of that has just been reduced. And then an eagle says, basically, you guys are stupid. And woe, woe, woe to the earth, inhabitants of the earth, as the next 3 angels are about to blow their trumpets. And so we continue in chapter 9, and we see that the 5th angel blows his trumpet. And okay, well, let's take this section here. I saw a star that had fallen from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. This is descriptive language, basically saying that a demon was given a key, or one of the devils was given a key to the pit, and out of the pit came locusts. But first the sun and the air were darkened, and the smoke came from the shaft. Then from the smoke came locusts. These locusts were basically let loose on the earth. Now John goes into the description of the locusts and tells you what they looked like to him. But notice that as these locusts didn't go out and damage the earth, didn't eat crops or trees, but instead they only attacked the people that were not Christians, those people who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. These people, they were allowed to torture them for 5 months, but not kill them. Now this agony and pain was so great that you would think some people would get the message, that most people would get the message. And in those days the people will seek death, but will not find it. They will long to die, but death will flee from them. Continuing in 7, this the description of what the locusts look like. So this one doesn't kill people. It just makes them wish they were dead. So let's go on to the next trumpet. Trumpet. Sorry, my scroller's moving a little slow to go to the next trumpet. In verse 13, we get the 6th angel blows his trumpet. He releases basically an army that come out and kill 1/3 of humankind. So we have 1/3 of humanity dies here. Now this is, if you notice, there's a trend going here. Let's take a look. So the first angel blows his trumpet, 1/3 of the trees are gone. Second angel blows his trumpet, 1/3 of the living creatures in the sea are dead. Third angel blows his trumpet. This one doesn't say how many people are affected, but it tells us a third of the waters become wormwood, and many people died. We don't know how many is, but it's probably not a few. Then we have the light, a third of the light going dark. The fifth angel is torture and pain and suffering. The sixth angel blows his trumpet, and a third of humanity dies. Now, if you remember, back when we were discussing the seals, Revelations chapter 6, verses 7 and 8, the fourth seal, the pale horse. This was death, and death was given to them power over a fourth of the earth. So we have 1/4 plus 1/3. Now 1/4 plus 1/3 don't add easy, so let's make them to where they do add correctly. And that's 12ths. So we have 3 12ths plus 4 12ths, so 7 12ths. 7 out of 12 people are dead. That's a pretty impressive amount of people who are dying and suffering. And what is humanity's answer to this? Well, it says the rest of humankind who were not killed by these plagues did not repent of their works of their hands, or give up worshipping demons and idols of gold and silver and bronze and stone and wood, which cannot see it, hear, or walk. They did not repent of their murders or their sorceries or their fornications or their thefts. Bottom line, they refused to change. Humanity, all throughout this, the Great Tribulation, doesn't get it. Now, I would think, now this is me, for years we've all been told about the end of times. This is coming. That God is going to lay wrath on the earth and send judgment. That basically all hell is going to break loose on earth. Now, if you're sitting around and this starts happening, don't you think you get the message? But many don't. Many choose not to believe. As we will see further in this chapter, in Revelation, people will not only not believe, they believe. They know God is doing this, and they ask the mountains to fall on them to protect them from what God is doing, instead of just saying, Father, forgive me. Now, the seals were basically the first warning. Now the trumpets. As this progresses, it's going to get worse. Now, I'm not going to go into the seventh trumpet yet, because there's a couple other passages in here that are important. We'll be bringing them up in later episodes before we do the seventh trumpet, and then we will go to the 7 great bowls of judgment. The thing to keep in mind is this is not 7 days in a row. Each of these trumpets takes time to manifest. Matter of fact, if we go back to the locusts, we see that they have, how long? 5 months. So that seal, which is the 5th seal, lasts 5 months. Out of the 7 years, almost a half a year is involved in just that trumpet alone. We don't know the time frame of every one of the trumpets, or all the seals, or the bowls, but we do know the effects. And the effects are that humanity is basically punished, but refuses to listen. Now, as we prepare for this, we have one thing to keep in mind. When the 5th angel blows his trumpet and the locusts come forth, who doesn't get tortured? Those with the seal of God on their foreheads. That's the people like you and me and the other Christians that are around. We are not punished. We are not tortured. So far, through the book of Revelation, the punishment and the time of the tribulation, we are the one. Now, we can be affected by the mass death that counts, but we don't get tortured. And And that to me sounds like a pretty good deal. I mean, if you're going to die, we're just going to go to heaven anyway. We're going to be with the Lord, and life is good. Sorry about that, folks. I had to rearrange myself. It's sad that humanity can see such blatant shows of God's power and still refuse to turn to God. But this is not anything new. The nation of Israel has done this over and over and over again, and yet they still insist on worshiping things that are not real. They cannot be powerful. A statue you make with your hands obviously is not greater than you. It's made out of materials. You did it. All the idols in the old days were made by men. Some by women, but that's not the point. I'm not trying to say men versus women. I'm saying humanity made them, and then we're dumb enough to worship them. We do the same thing with all of our new petty gods, the new gods that we have raised up from nothingness, the god of money. How can you worship a piece of paper? When will we open our eyes? The book of Revelation says that a large number will never open their eyes. Are you going to be one of those? Are you going to be one of those people that have decided that nope, no matter what happens, I will not worship the Lord. I will not turn to God. Well, if you are, then the pain, the suffering, the torment that you're going to face is being described. And you need to pay attention, because it sounds dumb to me to say I would rather die than accept a God that has taken and demonstrated his power so greatly. This has been our episode on the first 6 trumpets. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please hit the like button. If you want, you may share this with your friends. Sit down and discuss this with your study group. Look into the death count. Look into the counts of suffering. Look into the accounts of all that is happening in just these 6 trumpets. It's a lot of effects. A lot of damage is done to the earth. And ask yourself, would you believe? I'm A.T. Martinez, and this has been Waiting in Laodicea. If you've enjoyed the show, please like it. Hit the subscribe button. By subscribing and liking, you can help support this ministry so that it may continue to grow and reach other people. Share it with your friends and try to get your friends to like and subscribe also. The more subscribers we get, the more we can make and be able to help fund this ministry. If you'd like to donate to this ministry, you can do so through this platform, or you can go ahead and become a patron. You can find information on becoming a patron in our channel description. Last but not least, you can always go to the website, which is www.waitinginlaodicea.weebly.com, and that shows you several other ways you can help, that you can donate to this ministry. If you'd like to donate time and energy, please contact us. The email is waitinginlaodicea@gmail.com. I'll be glad to hear from you and see how we can work with you to use your time for the Lord. Thank you all, and may God bless you all throughout the rest of this week.